A lumbering giant is the terror of the battlefield, smashing entire ranks of men aside and feasting on the less fortunate ones. So today, guys, welcome to this gigantic showdown between the Greenskins, who shall be led by Dr. Doom and Darkness, and it looks like we're going to be facing off against the Beastmen, who shall be led by Old Kazrak One-Eye, who does also have a giant in his service. So I'm kind of curious about the stats. I think they're the exact same. So let's go ahead and look. 65, 30, 600. And then my Greenskin giant over here is looking quite glorious. 65, 30, 600. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the same. Wait, yeah, 65, 30, 600. Then 65, 30, 600. Yeah, so that's pretty much the same stat line. Oh, it is the same stat line. So anyways, as far as my army goes, I do have 3 groups of Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, and I feel like they have an okay application against Beastmen. They're very quick. These bad boys do have 92 speed, so they can keep pace with Centaurs and Poison Hounds and get away from them. And also they give you steady kind of missile DPS against light armor. So if you're shooting at Centaurs, Minotaurs, Harpies, whatever, you name it on the Beastmen roster with the exception of Vestigors and a couple other units, I feel like their DPS might be okay, and they're going to be a little bit of a thorn in your opponent's side here. So we have 3 of those, and then on top of that we have 2 groups of Forest Goblin Spider Riders. These guys are just great against Beastmen. Basically, you use them to chase Centaurs with throwing axes, you use them to deal with regular Centaurs, a good tar pitting unit, a good counter skirmishing unit. I really just like these guys quite a bit. They're coming in with Razorgore herds, just an outstanding tar pit unit, because anything that they're going to be fighting, yeah, they're not going to do a ton of damage, but they have relatively good melee defense. They're going to be able to poison them, and you know, they do the trick. For the front line, it's going to be a combination of Biggins and Goblins. So we have the 2 Goblin RORs, and then in total we have, I think, 3 or 4 Biggins. Yeah, 3. And the Biggins, I'm like, okay, they can buzzsaw through pretty much all the Beastmen chaff, and if they have to fight elite stuff, they can at least hold their own. And they also have anti-large against Minotaur rushes and Razorgore herds and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's why I kind of mixed in the Biggins, and we'll see how they do. On top of that, we have the Giant. The Giant is going to be standing on these guys, and you know, the Beastmen don't really have the best missile play. So it's like, okay, let's bring a Giant to protect the Arachnoid Queen here. So they're going to fight hand in hand. I figured if my opponent had a Giant or something big like that, or Minotaur, she would need a little bit of help. So we brought in the big derpy Giant. We're going to see how he does. Here on the ground, we do have the Night Goblin Shaman, who's going to be basically just stroking that rod right there to give Winds of Magic to Azag. And Azag is here on foot, so I wanted to make him a little bit tougher to snipe. And I've often found that Azag, up in the air, obviously, is very, very powerful. But in this case, I was like, I didn't want to get sniped, trapped on the ground by Poison Hounds. So I was like, let's bring him on foot, get that long-term value, get more WAs over the course of a whole battle. And that's kind of the whole argument for Grimgor Ironhide. People are basically like, hey, if he's on the ground fighting the whole time, you're going to get more WAs. And it's true. You get a lot more, but you can do the same thing with Azag, who's just objectively better and has spells, and yeah, so basically he's going to be here on the ground, Spirit Leech and Buna. The Spider on the far side, and we have 1 group of Trolls, because you always have to make your opponent pay the Troll toll. If you do not do that with Greenskins, it you know, it's a little bit of a heresy there. So for my opponent's army, the Great Aerocrastic, he does have a Chaos Poison Warhounds, a couple of groups of Centaurs as well, 2 Harpies who are going to be pressuring my flanks, a bunch of Spearmen as well, and a very elite front line, actually. So I thought about bringing Black Orcs, and it would have been, you know, quite a slugfest for sure. But he does have 3 groups of Vestigore herds, a Giant, a Death Shaman with Spirit Leech, and it looks like Doom and Darkness to try and rout off some of my low-tier goblins and things like that. And that's pretty much it. So very much a monster mash matchup we have here with a very elite infantry, double Giant play, as well as an Arachnoid Spider. So anyway, some light skirmishing here on the flanks. Going to be shooting in with my annoying Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, but Arrow should be able to dodge most of that. I think he took like just a minor volley. Nothing really to write home about. But the Biggins are going to be surging out to screen here, and they do attack Kazrak. Kazrak gets in there with a nice charge, takes out a couple, but he is going to be taking some damage as well. But a big old Alpha Strike coming in, and I figured the Biggins could kind of endure that, and I could then countercharge with my Spider Riders, but my timing was a little bit off. But nonetheless, the Spider Riders are going to be coming in, and hopefully I'll be able to trap up some stuff. But the Biggins, as far as kills go, they only got 2, so that was 100% a better trade for Arrow. However, on the far side, excuse me, I lost my voice, Anakin. I'm too weak, I can't cast any longer. On the far side, I do drop a Faded Buna here on the Vestigore herds and get some pretty good value. In the meantime, Aerocrastic does respond with the Spirit Leech on the Arachnoid Spider, and now the monster mash begins. So the Trolls and the Biggins going to be attacking these Vestigore herds here, should be able to win that in that 2v1 situation, and Biggins are going to do well against the Giant as well. Now down here on the ground, the Arachnoid Spider's going in pretty ham. The Wa has been popped a little bit late, signature play from me. I always pop the Wa a couple seconds late, which is quite a bit of fun. But nonetheless, we have our monster mash. It's mostly Biggins and Goblins fighting, you know, some of these chaffy infantry. I do also summon the Spiderlings from the Arachnoid Queen? I don't know why my brain just was like, what is that word? How are you trying to process this? I dropped it behind his troops, basically, just to break their leadership. So the main monster mash fight's pretty much underway. Harpies in the back line are doing some skirmishing. Kazrak looks like he was trying to push out my Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, but he took a little bit of damage in the process. Granted, I do kind of forget about my Goblin Big Boss over here, and he's going to get trapped up by those wolves for sure, those hounds. Now back in the main fight, we do have the Arachnoid Queen, who's still going fisticuffs, and we do have the 8-peak Loonies, which is a great kind of anchor for your forces. They're unbreakable, so it really allows my spider as well as my giant to have some solid anchoring and not just get fully surrounded by spears and things like that. So Kazrak's going to be coming in with some spears, and it looks like the Beastmen giant as well was beating down some trolls, or at least clubbing them a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, the trolls all have all their models, and they should actually be able to regenerate and come back later in the fight if they do lose any anyways. So right here, some of the Harpies on the far side are doing some skirmishing, maybe just trying to screen out my Goblin Wolf Rider archers, but this is where things are going to get a little bit messy in the back line. Arrowcraftstic gets the Poison Warhounds, he gets the Centaurs, and he starts chasing me. I do have some big uns back here for some light peeling. Again, they routed and they're very beat up as is. He could probably overwhelm me, but with some good micro here, you can see Arrowcraftstic is able to get away from them, and he's easily going to be able to shut down my Wolf Rider archers. So very, catastrophic situation in the back line. Granted, the main line fight's going pretty good. We get our second Buna here on the big uns, or the Vestigor herds, excuse me, so doing my best to just kind of wear those guys down. However, we do have a monster fight here. The giant, it's basically the three monsters fighting amongst one another. The giant, though, is laying just a royal whooping here on this Arachnaut Queen. She's taking a lot of damage. She's getting Spirit Leech, and I was really surprised in the game. I was like, man, how am I not killing this giant faster? Probably the Apocalyptic Vision is helping, giving it 26 melee attack, putting it up to a whopping 91, which is insane. So at this point, I realized this is a bit of a lost cause for the spider, so I pulled the spider back. It's relatively quick. It has 57 speed. When you compare that to a giant, for example, giants only have 39, just a little bit faster than infantry. So I pull back the spider. I'm like, let's just kind of work the edge of the battlefield, try and snipe out his Bray Shaman, maybe try and snipe Kazrak, get some value there, and let the giants fight. Just let them fight Godzilla style. So I get my Goblin Big Boss back in here, and we're actually starting to get some good trades. His giant's getting a little bit lower, being attacked by the AP Gloonies and poisoned here. It's probably poisoned. Actually, it's not. For some reason, the goblins haven't been able to shank his ankle, but my Goblin Big Boss does get forced off with a mighty blow from the giant, but his giant's very beat up, and we also get a really good pick here. So we are able to find that Deathcaster, and the Deathcaster is going to be getting surrounded and feasted on by the Arachnaut Queen. So this is great. If we're able to get the Deathcaster here, that would be a huge boon. No more Spirit Leeches to finish off my Queen. Things will be going pretty well. We do also drop a Spirit Leech as well on the Bray Shaman, so the Bray Shaman is going to be forced back. 1300 HP though, and Arrowcraftstic very much has control of the open battlefield. So if you look around, I don't really have any skirmishers left. He's done a very good job chasing off most of my units with hounds and things like that. So his Centaurs were really able to dominate the mobile game. However, I think the pit fight is going pretty well for me. My giant's beating down his giant. I now have Azag here, and does Azag, did I bring the spider banner? I don't think I did, which was probably a mistake. The poison would have been very helpful, but we're able to get some good work in against a giant. Azag and company are winning that match, and we are also able to beat up Kazrak. So the Arachnaut Queen was coming in with a second or third WoW. I believe over the course of this game to get like 3 WoWs. It's super powerful. But the spider was able to, get the Deathcaster, able to push off Kazrak, and now we can turn into this 3v1 engagement here as my giant plus my Arachnaut Spider and Azag on ground are just doing a ton of damage to the giant, which is going to get rid of the big threat. Something else that's very scary for the Beastmen also is I still have like a full health giant. This guy's just rock hard, sitting at 8,000 plus HP, and it looks like the Beastman giant has fallen. So the Arachnaut Queen's doing a very good job, but Arrow coming in with another Spirit Leech, and this is still a very close game. He has a fair amount of Vestigors and a mobility on the battlefield, so as stuff is coming back, he's doing just such a good job of picking things off. The Troll Toll might be paid over here though. The Troll should be able to beat down these Centaurs, especially with the Goblin Big Boss anchoring. Granted, the Big Boss is getting beaten up pretty bad over there, and the Trolls are, shaken, probably going to be wavering soon, but this is actually quite nice. If we can win this engagement here, get the Goblin Big Boss back, get the Trolls back, that's going to be very nice for the main engagement. Now, the Arachnaut Queen having some problems as well, and it is broken. So the issue with it being broken is that if it breaks, he has mobility. He has the open field advantage, and that's why it's so valuable, because now he can basically just chase off the spider at whim. The spider used to have a bug where when it broke, it would run super fast, but even with that bug, Centaurs are very fast and should be able to push it off. Now, as far as the main battle goes, I do, of course, have Azag. I have a giant here who's taking some pretty steady shanking. The Ungor Spears and the Poison Warhounds and things like that the damage is starting to add up. I mean, it's minute at first, but it really does add up over the course of a long, grindy battle. A lot of the Vestigors and mainline troops here of the Beastmen are breaking. Azag here is quite spooky. I believe he has an ability that actually tanks leadership of nearby units as well. Let's actually go ahead and take a look here if we can get the mouse over him. So yes, glorious slow motion. Just enjoy it while you can, guys. So he does have, no, it's get on with it. So it actually gives leadership to my own troops, which is still very helpful. Anyways, these spears and other units are just enduring a mass break. So the giant and, Azag plus the remaining, the loonies here, there's actually 4 of them left, and some Forest Goblin Spider Riders really able to win this engagement here, which is quite nice. Granted, the mighty Arachnaut Queen has fallen here. The Bray Shaman plus Kazrak with his whip was able to whip that spider to death, which is definitely not a fun situation for that guy. But I do have a couple guys around the battlefield kind of surging back, rallying to their king, I suppose, but it looks like they actually, right as I say that, they're just like, nope, we're just going to shatter. So now it devolves into just a heavy pit fight. I have the giant left. The giant is very much a counter against Kazrak and the Bray Shaman and a lot of these troops here, but the Beastmen are probably going to be getting some spears rallying. They have 46 spears here. They have 34 here. So that's almost, 70, 80 spears. Some Harpies coming back, some Vestigors, 18 of them. So he should be able to, at the very least, finish off my Forest Goblin Spider Riders and my other troops like this. And then if the spears can saturate and he gets some good cycle charging with Kazarak and company, I could easily lose this. And the balance of power, as a matter of fact, is in the favor of the Beastmen. So the Spider Riders are going to be charging in. We get a nice little intercept there. Harpies with the rear charge, though, should tank the leadership. But Azag's going to be coming in. We do get another wall, which is incredibly nice. I think the wall is active. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yes, it is. So we get the charge bonus. We get the charge, the speed, charge bonus, and melee attack. So we get all the goodies here. We are able to fend off the Beastmen, but still, they had a good trade there. They finished off my Spider Riders. They got a pick, and I didn't really get much aside from a couple units. Now the spears are coming in, and Azag is a little bit vulnerable here in the back. Going to be getting double Ramrod charged here by the Brave Shaman plus Kazarak. But I have my Giant, so we're going to be turning the Giant. Our Wa, again, is still active, so the melee attack buff is still going pretty strong here. Unfortunately, I'm poisoned by something. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's Kazarak? Oh, Kazarak, yes. He has popped the Scourge. So he is scourging this Giant. And man, the Giant is taking a ton of damage from those two chariots. A breath attack coming in from the Giant right there. Not an actual breath attack, but it still, looks like one. But the Giant's going to be coming over, and he gets a huge blow on Kazarak. Kazarak takes one right in the dome. The bounce power is in the favor of the Beastman as the Giant is going down really quick. Azag is shaken. The Giant is steady. Things are looking pretty grim in that respect. However, we get the route. The Bestigor herds and all these guys with a mass terror route coming in from the Giant. They were all so low. And now we have a duel between Azag and Kazarak right here. And then the Giant over here is just straight up clubbing this Brave Shaman. So the Brave Shaman is broken, and Kazarak is on the ropes here. And it looks like he's going to come back in. He's wavering, but a single blow from the Giant is probably going to finish him. So he gets a nice little charge here, able to knock over Azag. And here comes the Giant with the steel chair, finishing off Kazarak. Brutal stuff. And that is going to be game. So very well played to Aerocrastic. Man, that was a fierce cockfight. It's super intense. But yeah, it was really fun. The dual Giants, the Spiders fighting, the skirmishing game for sure was dominated by the Beastmen. I mean, it's really hard. I had basically 2 Forest Goblin Spider Riders to counter skirmish him, and he had Centaurs. He had 2 of them. He had Poison Hounds and dual Harpies. I had a really hard time protecting my Goblin Wolf Rider archers. Like, it was kind of a doomed cause. But again, against different styles of play, like had the Beastmen had like a Minotaur Rush or a more aggressive build that was slower with like Razor Gores, they could have been pretty good. So I still don't think they're a bad pick per se. But the Monster Mash fight, the Bestigors, the Unbreakable Goblins, the Biggins all got really good kills for the most part. And the Giant and the Spider did really well. They were able to kind of muscle the enemy Giant. And from there, we were able to close out the game. But man, that was a really fierce one for sure. But yeah, the chariot play from him was really good. And I got to say, Aerocrastic is just so damn good at chasing things off the battlefield. Like, if you let one thing break, it's gone. I mean, if it's of any worth. Obviously, if it's like a goblin or something, you kind of just let it go. But yeah, it was a really, really fun game for sure. And yeah, his army was great. I mean, the Bestigors are able to actually perform quite well against Biggins. Biggins don't have the best AP. Bestigors have good armor. It was a good trade for him, I would say. But the Giant and the Spider really kind of put that game on their back. Plus the Faded Bunus from Azag. So again, very well played to my opponent. No more dropped frames, aka Arrow there. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this Greenskin vs. Beastmen game. And make sure to check out Aerocrastic on YouTube. He will be streaming quite a bit. Of course, you've seen him in Everchosens and things like that. But yeah, check him out over on his channel, which will be in the comment section below. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.